everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back, where I take a look at reviews I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. A year ago, I took a look at Maestro Ensemble. This was a game I really wanted to like because I love symphonies and this game where you're building up an orchestra, and then it actually has QR codes in the game so you can listen to all the different pieces. They're actual symphony pieces, and there's a ton of them. It's great, but it's a little too realistic because some of the pieces need specific instruments, and so they kind of went that route instead of making it an actually good game. I love the concept. The game's okay, but doesn't live up to what I had hoped it would be. Sold Out is a kids game in which you are going to have stacks of cards, and kids are going to go through those stacks of cards shopping for things, clothing. But you can scatter these stacks across the room so they have to run back and forth, so you can teach them to be consumerists at a young age. It's a silly, fun little run-around game. I'm not sure big people, slower people like it, but kids are going to enjoy it. Emojito, this is a game where there's little cards with funny cartoon artwork on, and you have to make the face on the different cards. It is what it is. That simple description will tell you whether you like it or not. I found it decent. Family Flutterby. This is a game where you have a little paper thing and you're folding it back and forth to make butterflies. It's for kids again, as you're trying to fold them in the right direction to make the butterflies that are matched on the cards. Road to Infamy. This is a trick-taking style game with some interesting things. A little too long. It would have got a much higher rating if it was shorter. And, you know, it just didn't flow as smoothly as I would have liked it to have. Also, I wasn't a big fan of the artwork. But it works. It's just not as good as it could be. Kilt Factory. Kilt Castle. Kilt Factory would be an interesting game. Kilt Castle. This is, forget the theme. This is a total abstract game. As you are placing things, it's kind of this back and forth as you're building these little castles. And as people moving around the board. Very thinky game. You're trying to think ahead. A tactical style game as you're trying to place these different pieces on the board. Really kind of an interesting game that got almost no buzz, but one that if you like abstract games, this is one to check out. Circuit Maze. This is basically one of one-player puzzle games from Think Fun, but this one actually has circuits. It lights up. It doesn't work quite as well as I like to occasionally. You have to make sure that the pieces are snapped in perfectly, but the idea is really cool, and it's very satisfying to see the circuits connect and you make the lights light up. Mix Tour. Mix Tour is a game in which, I almost forgot what it was because of the name. It's an abstract strategy game with these little cups, and you are moving them, but the space you can move them is how high the thing you're moving them to, which is kind of a unique concept. The company that makes these makes some great abstract strategy games, and this is a good one. Then we have Jorvik. This is a game that was a reprint of an older game, and they kind of doubled it. There's now an extra board, and it's fantastic. The bidding aspect in this game is so unique and different. As you can put your guys in a line, and the more guys in that line, the higher the price is. But the person who's first in line gets first option. If they say no, then their guy comes off, which makes the price cheaper, and then the second guy in line has it. That's a really cool concept, and I think it works well. Then we have Gooseberry. Gooseberry I dropped slightly, and that's not because I think Gooseberry is any less of a game, because they came out with a nicer production value this year called Chameleon. This whole idea, there's a bunch of words in a card, everyone knows the word except one person, and we're trying to figure out who that person is. It's a cool thing. And then finally, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shadows of the Past. This is a fantastic game. I like it more and more. It is a action-adventure game, a bunch of people playing the turtles against the bad guy, and you go through little tiny scenarios, and you fight a lot. Cool teamwork concept. Very highly enjoyable game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 5 years ago, I played a trio of games that were like old games from Sid Saxon, and I knew about one of them, but a couple I didn't know. One of those was Monad, which is this funky-looking color game. Looks like it came from the 70s for sure, and you know what? It just doesn't work, matching colors and stuff. Not a very good game. Also took a look at Kahlua. Kahlua is a game about forming your own religion, except that people constantly are leaving your religions on your island and you have your own religion. The concept is interesting. It's a funny game with some really nice components, but just falls short a little bit too much. Take that and just this constant negativity from the game itself. Then we have I'm the Boss card game. This is a little game based on the very excellent I'm the Boss board game. The card game is okay. It's just not as good. You play the cards, and after a while, you're like, why aren't we playing with the board game? There's a little bit too much luck in it. I mean, it's fine. It's a fine game. It's just not as good. Kill the Overlord is a game that I think has gotten better as time goes by. It's one of those little simple games where you're trying to kill the Overlord and try to play your cards at the right time. Very Japanese, strong flavor to it. I like it. Gentlemen Thieves, this is a game in which you are moving tokens around and trying to steal things and figure out who's who. And I don't know how well this one would do if it was released today, but I enjoyed it at the time. Venture is another one of that trilogy of older games. This is like a stock market card game, and I think it works really well. You are, playing cards and trying to play the cards at the right time and watching the stocks go up and down. There's big, grandiose stock games. This kind of condenses it down, and I like that. Sleuth is the third game in the trilogy, and Sleuth is amazing. It's a great deduction game. It's very, very thinky, and especially if you play the maximum players, which is 7. It's crazy. It's great with, I think, 5. 5 is my perfect spot for it, but 4 or 6 is, well, 6 is maybe a little higher. But I like Sleuth. I like trying to figure out what the gem is. You're asking each other questions, writing down information. A wonderful game. And then finally, City of Remnants. This one here dropped slightly for me. This was a game that's just like the forgotten gem of Plaid Hat games. This is one where you're like a city or like there's aliens that are taking over the city, and you're like a resistance group going up against each other. There's area control. There's a little tiny bit of deck building in the game. There's nice miniatures. And it all comes together, I think, in a pretty good way. Maybe it's forgettable. I'm not sure why this one just hasn't done as well as the other ones, but I liked it. City of Remnants. All right, let's drop 10 years ago where apparently I was playing bad games. Hats Off. In fact, in this review, I said, I like hats. Well, right. But in this game, you put the cards on your head. Foul, 20-yard penalty. Sorry, Hats Off, not a very good game. Then we have Geomenos, which you'll notice I dropped the rating here because when I played this 10 years ago, I was like, ooh, wow, all these cool dominoes and stuff. And I was like, it's okay at best. Well, now I look at it and go, it's okay at best, and those components look awful. Boom. Gangster, this is a game where you're doing area control with little cubes and trying to control areas of a city with a strong gangster theme, which is totally obliterated by the fact that you have cubes and not really good artwork, unfortunately. Gubs is one of those games that I almost give an extra point to because I like the artwork. I like the Gubs so much. I wish I owned a few Gubs that would come and live in my house and clean up my stuff when I wasn't looking like little elves. But I like the cute artwork. They fight each other. It's a little bit of a take that style game. And I'm normally not a big fan of them. And I'm not a huge fan of this one either, but I thought it worked okay. And then Chicago Poker, which is a better game than Gangster. Another area control game by the two Brunos, Bruno Catala and Bruno Feduti. This was before Bruno Catala was like a household name, but still was already making his name here. And you're using poker hands as area control, which is a cool idea. That is the games I reviewed a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.